So around about 2 months ago, there was a pretty interesting new update that was introduced to Skyblock, and we basically got a new variation of a pet. As I'm sure we're pretty much all aware of at this point, when new updates are implemented into Skyblock, it doesn't always go too smoothly. New items, new mechanics, even existing items, existing mechanics, where things have changed around them in the game, things just don't work as they used to or intended. The Mythic Black Cat pet was introduced about 2 months ago, like I said, and it's been rumoured that this pet just doesn't work as intended and is actually much better than what makes out. The main difference between the Legendary and the Mythic Black Cat pet is the looting ability, which means that you gain 15% more collection items from monsters. Now, on face value, that sounds decent. Does that mean that you get 15% extra loot? Well, no. It's only 15% extra drops on collection items from monsters. For instance, I don't know, like rotten flesh if you're killing the crypt ghouls. However, some players have rumoured that this ability works even on other rare items that definitely aren't collection items, such as really rare RNGs from Slayers. Now, if I'm being really honest, it's really difficult to tell whether this is actually true or not. Of course, Hypixel Skyblock is surrounded with the element of RNG. We also have Magic Find, which can essentially increase your chances to drop RNG drops. So there's a lot of factors to consider. At the end of the day, if you did revs until you dropped, I don't know, 3 Warden Hearts, and did revs again until you dropped 3 Warden Hearts with number 1 maybe the Black Cat pet, and then number 2 maybe something like a G-Drag, and you actually come to the conclusion that you get the drops much sooner with the Black Cat pet, who's to say that that isn't just complete and utter RNG? Just like if you drop a really rare item with low Magic Find as opposed to high Magic Find. How can we tell whether you've just had good RNG, or whether your Magic Find has actually helped? Well, I come across this video uploaded around about a month and a half ago by somebody called Dr. Telfort. And essentially, in this video, he's fishing for worms. Once he's fished up a certain amount of worms, he kills them. Now, he does the test twice with a Black Cat and twice with a G-Drag. And the results kind of do back up the Black Cat actually working. Of course, you're not supposed to get worm membrane as a collection item. It's not supposed to be affected. In his first test, he uses his Black Cat pet to actually, well, he uses it when he kills all of the worms, and he ends up with, what is it? Is it 27 worm membrane at the end? So keep note of that. And then when he uses his G-Drag to kill the same amount of worms, he only ends up with 25. He does it again with the Black Cat pet, and I'm pretty sure the number stays the same if I remember correctly. Let's just see if I'm correct. Yeah, 27. Whereas when he kills all the worms with the G-Drag again, he only actually gets 22 worm membrane. Now yeah, this could just be luck, but it's a consistent kind of proof to show that this actually might be a thing. And while this video definitely does point us in the right direction, I don't really think it proves anything. I mean, sure, the Black Cat pet definitely did give more loot, but that could just be complete coincidence. So maybe we need to take a little bit of a deep look into this ourselves. But before we do, if you are planning on purchasing anything from the Hypixel store, make sure to use code NITROS, it gets yourself 5% off. Also, you should subscribe to the channel. We're aiming for 100,000 subscribers before the end of next year. It's going to be difficult, but I think we can do it. Make sure you subscribe. Also, you should join the Discord server. It's linked in the description of this video. We offer Slayers and Dungeon carries, so if you need carries or want to carry and make some coins, make sure to join. First of all, I think it's a good idea to take a look through the patch notes of the Black Cat pet since it was introduced into the game. There isn't a massive amount that happens until the 24th of October this year when the Mythic rarity was introduced into the game, but since then we see no changes at all. But just in case anything has slipped through the cracks, what I'm going to do is go back to, well, when it was actually introduced into the game, and I'm basically going to Control F, search for Black Cat and see if we can find anything in any of these previous updates. And since then we can't see anything at all that revolves around the Black Cat. So at this point, we don't really have any acknowledgement that this is actually a bug and has been fixed or anything like that. Now, I'm going to conduct my own little test. So I'm going to basically farm the mushroom cows in the Crimson Isles. We're going to see how many digestive mushrooms that we actually get in a certain period of time. And then we're going to do the same with, for instance, a G-Drag pet and see how the results compare. And after 5 minutes with the Black Cat pet, we managed to get a stack and 15. So we got 79 digested mushrooms, and we're going to basically do the same test, but we're going to change over to our G-Drag and see what the results are. Okay, the 5 minutes is up, and we got a stack and 1, so we got 65 as opposed to 79. Or in other words, we observed around about an 18% difference. Now, of course, the stat specified 15, but maybe the extra 2 or 3% could be down to, I don't know, we had better spawns with the Black Cat. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, once again, I don't think I can say this is 100,000,000% concrete evidence, considering we did a 5-minute test, and sure, there could be inconsistencies. However, I mean, kind of does line up with what people are saying. And if we consider the clip from the video that we watched before, I mean, he observed around about an 11 to 12% difference in terms of the drops that he got with and without the Black Cat. So I guess that further goes towards it. Now, if I'm being honest, what makes it so difficult is because, well, I've seen quite a few people talk about this bug, and when I've actually tried to do a little bit of research into it, I've really not been able to find much. Usually you find a decent amount of forum posts about a bug, what seems to be so prominent. However, that doesn't exactly seem to be the case. Also, there's not really much on YouTube other than that one video that I showed before. Now, I do see a post on the forums for relatively close, I mean, this was just a few days after the Black Cat was introduced, the Mythic one at least. People really trying to make out what this perk really does, and I think basically the general conclusion from the people talking in this post is that it's just not really useful. What's the point in getting 15% extra collections from monsters? So it's all going to essentially be, well, majority is going to be combat collection. And is 15% extra rotten flesh really any use? And I would have to agree, absolutely not. Regardless of all of this, it would be interesting to know what you guys think. Is the Mythic Black Cat a pet that you've tried out or not? If you have tried it out, have you noticed anything interesting about the last perk? And do you think it works as intended or not? You see, the main issue with this perk and what people are speculating or what it could potentially do is there is of course just straight up potential for good RNG and bad RNG. There is potential for comparing two grinds and one being slightly more efficient and one being slightly less efficient. There's so many variables, and with nothing really concrete, it's hard to decipher what's really going on. But anyway, that just about wraps up today's video. Like I said, leave me a comment. What do you think of this pet? Do you think this actual hidden perk is real, or whether it really just does give you a 15% extra collection drops? Somehow the answer to that question seems a little bit more difficult than what shows on face value. Anyway, if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you do leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.